And okay, folks, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Torah Studies. It is great to have you here, and just like that, I'm going to welcome Joy. Joy, welcome to the class. It's great to have you here. Okay, this is Torah Studies. This is our weekly spelunk. Spelunk? People spelunk? I think so. This is our weekly exploration of the Torah portion, and specifically the deeper insights into the Torah portion. I am excited. The Torah portion is Nasso. It is a wonderful portion. We have a lot to talk about. Tonight's focus will be on the topic of blessings. So, if you got my email, if you're getting my emails, first of all, hi Karen. If you're not getting my emails, right, just let me know. Email me. Maybe you can't, but maybe you can. Rabbi@chabadintown.org. Email me, and I will get you on the list. Here's the deal. I wrote in my email, the subject of the email that we sent out for Torah Studies this week was, I'm talking about the mass email, was bless your heart. Now, 1 second. I understand that it means something in the South, or maybe in other places. Yeah? Okay, bless your heart. Positive, or maybe not so positive, or maybe a little derogatory.
Context.
Okay, so doctor, please help me out here. Well, give me a positive context.
So context would be, you see a 3-year-old really trying to velcro their shoes closed, and you go, oh, bless his heart, which means, isn't she sweet, cute, and adorable?
Got it.
That would be in contrast to me out earlier today in the yard with my 20-year-old grandson chopping up bamboo, and he's looking at me, shaking his head, thinking, bless her heart, like, poor old lady, she really just got to let me do the job.
I love it. That was excellent. See, that is amazing. That's perfect. So, I sense that that's kind of, how it could be used, but that's fantastic. Those are great scenarios, and I love the personalization as well. Okay, so bless your heart can be maybe good, can be maybe not so good, but I want to focus tonight not necessarily on the phrase bless your heart, but on the concept of blessings. Because people bless each other all the time. Hold on 1 second. Joking. So when people sneeze, that was a fake sneeze buildup. When people sneeze, people say bless you. My question is, what do you mean? What? Who's blessing who, and what? Because I sneezed, I get blessed? What's going on with that? And who's doing the blessing? And do I have power? Or I'm sneezing, so you have the power to bless me? How does that work? Like you have a special access card? What's going on? What do we believe about blessings? Right? We're blessing each other. I'm blessing you. You're blessing me. Is it like our wishes for a safe flight? Like, sei gesund, like Yiddish course Monday night. Sei gesund, like be well, that sort of thing? Or is there something more behind it? What is a blessing? Is there a power to a blessing? And if there is a power to a blessing, where does it come from? What does it mean? How does it work? Who does it? What do they say? Etc., etc., etc. If you've ever wondered about blessings, tonight is your night. You are going to count your lucky stars and say your blessings. Count your blessings for tonight's class, all about, you guessed it, blessings. Why are we talking about blessings, you might ask, and I'll tell you why. Because in this week's Torah portion, we have the original blessing, the OG blessing. And that is the priestly blessing, the Kohanic, maybe, blessing, the blessing of the priests, which is the famous source of, Star Trek, Dr. Spock, Leonard Nimoy. Yeah.
Yes.
What did he say? Be well and
Prosper.
Be well and prosper. That
no.
is.
No. I have to live long. And
Oh, I'm so sorry. No. Good. Good catch. Right. I know. I want to get it right. I'm not trying to. Right. What say? Live. Say it again. Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Live long and good. Let's get it right. Live long and prosper. I just watched an interview tonight with Leonard Nimoy.
The Yiddish one?
Yeah, from the Yiddish Center. Yeah. I'm all into Yiddish now. You know that. Monday night, we're starting a brand new course on Yiddish, in case you haven't heard me talk about this. So, he's doing an interview with the Yiddish Center, And he's talking about his experiences as a kid going to shul, and the cantor says, Yivarechecha, and the Kohanim are up there in their talisim, in their shawls, and they got their hands like this, and they're saying, Yivarecha Hashem Yishmerecha, and it's like, and he's like mesmerized by this, and it's stuck, seared in his mind. And then, when they needed a line, he went back to that. Live long and prosper. Now it's a paraphrase. We're going to do the original inside. It's a paraphrase, but it's fitting. And why this? Well, you may know this, but as the Kohanim, the priests, give the priestly blessing, they are meant to put their talit, their prayer shawls, over their heads, covering their face, extend their hands out over the congregation, and do the old this, which makes a shin, right? A shin. Shakai Shalom, right? Okay, so this is where it comes from. We're going to talk about, so tonight is all about blessings. We're going to trace the origins of blessings to the priestly blessing. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about like the laws and customs regarding the priestly blessing, which is a fascinating subject unto itself. Then we're going to talk about the blessings of non-priests. So if you're not a priest, so do you get a blessing, or can you give a blessing? How does that work? What are the blessings, and how do blessings work, or do they work in the first place? And if they do, by what mechanism is that the case? And we're going to round it out with a practical takeaway, which I think is very timely. So let's jump right in. Have you ever been in a synagogue and actually heard live that priestly blessing by raise of hand? You don't have to do that. By raise of hand, yes? Okay, many of you have heard that. Oh, okay, good. Many of you have heard the priestly blessing in shul, in synagogue. Now, let's talk about the origins, and then we're going to talk about the customs and how it plays out. So, I know some of you have a book of Torah studies. Yes, I see some of you folks are getting your books, which is great. If not, no worries, because I am going to share my screen with you. Let's see, can I share my screen with you? Let's see. Yes, I can. We'll get that going. And let us explore the priestly blessing together. This is going to be text 1a. Linda, please take it away, if you don't mind. Text 1a from our Torah portion, Parashat Nasso. Here is the priestly blessing.
God spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, This is how you shall bless the children of Israel, saying to them, May God bless you and watch over you. May God cause his countenance to shine to you and favor you. May God raise his countenance toward you and grant you peace. They shall bestow my name upon the children of Israel, so that I will bless them. Perfect, thank you. That is the priestly blessing. So how does it originate? God is telling Moses, it's not for you. You're not a priest, you're not a Kohen. Tell your brother and his sons, your nephews, this is the priestly blessing. Yivarecha Hashem v'yishmerecha, Yar Hashem panav elecha v'chuneka, Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'yasim lecha shalom. These are the three blessings, and then the last point is v'samu Shmiya b'nei Yisrael v'nei avarachem. Okay, we did the English, I just did the Hebrew. That is the blessing. Good, fantastic. So you should know that that's not the first time that we find the blessing mentioned in the Torah, specifically regarding Aaron. In the last book of the Torah, the previous book, we're in the book of Numbers right now, the last book before this, the book of Leviticus, we had an incident in which we read about a blessing from Aaron the high priest. This was on the day that the Mishkan, the tabernacle, was inaugurated. This was opening day, the opening day ceremony. So the tabernacle was built, and there was a practice run for 7 days, a training period. Moses and the priests, they were all trained. Moses was training the priests, etc. 8th day, Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the first day of Nisan, 2449. In the year 2449, from the Jewish count, the tabernacle is open for business. On that day, Aaron comes and he blesses the people. Take it. Let's see, David Lazam, please read this text right here, and Aaron.
And Aaron lifted up his hands toward the people and blessed them. He descended from preparing the sin offering, the burnt offering, and the peace offering. And Moses and Aaron went into the tent of meeting. Then they came out and blessed the people, and the glory of God appeared to all the people.
Thank you. So we have two blessings, Aaron and then Moses and Aaron together. But I want to focus on the first paragraph here, Aaron's blessings. Look how it's introduced. What did he do? He lifted up his hands toward the people. I told you before, and you may have seen it before, the priests lift their hands when they do the blessing. Where does it come from? Now you know. Now you know, black and white. Aaron lifted up his hands toward the people, and he blessed them. And Rashi says, it's not here. Take my word for it. Look it up. Rashi says, based on the Midrash, based on Torah Kohanim, Rashi says that what was the blessing? He blessed them. Yivorecha Hashem v'yishmerecha, Yoreh Hashem panav elecha v'yichuneka, Yiseh Hashem panav elecha, v'yasim lecha shalom. How did Aaron know the blessing? How did he know the text if it's only taught a book later? So the simple answer is Torah is not necessarily written in chronological order. So when did God indeed tell Moses to tell Aaron this script? It might have been before this, or maybe somehow he knew it otherwise. I don't have a clear answer on that yet without looking it up. I didn't look it up specifically, but my understanding is either it's out of order or somehow he knew it. But Rashi and the Torah Kohanim, classic, the Midrash and commentaries explain that what blessing was offered here? The priestly blessing. So we have the text of the priestly blessing. We have an incident or an instance where the blessing is conferred, is given to the people on the day of the inauguration of the Mishkan. Now, lest you think that this blessing was a one-hit wonder, right? Lest you think this was like, I don't know, Ace of Base, I saw the sign, right? Sorry, Ace of Base, that was not meant to be a low blow. If you think it's not a one-hit wonder, then that's fine also. But here's the deal. Lest you think, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's also okay. Lest you think that the priestly blessing was a one-shot deal, you should know that that's not the case. It's not the case. The Kohanim, from the time of Aaron and his sons until today, Kohanim priests are charged. They are mandated. There's a mitzvah to bless the people. With what text? You know the text, the same text. How do we know this? Take a look. Ramban Nachmanides writes as follows. Ray, please take it away if you can. Text number 2. Nachmanides on our Torah portion. Hold on one second. We got to unmute you. Hold on, Ray, 1 second. Can you unmute yourself? No, it's not going? Okay. All right.
1 minute.
You got it. Okay, great. Take it away.
This is how you shall bless. I have already mentioned in the reading of Shemini that Aaron was commanded to raise his hands toward the people and bless them on that day. Here, Aaron and his sons were commanded to bless them for future generations, and the Torah enumerates the language of the blessing that they should use.
Perfect, thank you. Look at what Ramban says, Nachmanides says. He talks about the story that I just told you, right? The Shemini story, which is the 8th day of the inauguration, which is the first day that the temple opened for business. It was in Shemini in Leviticus that Aaron actually blessed the people with this priestly blessing. So what does it mean when the Torah says in our Torah portion? Let's move back to text 1a. Right, we did this already, but I want to point this out again. What does it mean in text 1a when God says to Moses, speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, this is how you shall bless the children of Israel. This is how you should bless. What do you mean this is how you should bless? It already happened. So what does it mean over here? Or what's the significance of this is how you shall bless? It means for future generations, which means it wasn't a one-time deal. It was meant to be consistent and continuous throughout the generations, that the priests should continue and throughout all time to bless the people using that script, using that language. Now, you may ask a question, why the priests? Yeah, why the Kohanim? What's up with them? Why did they get this? So let's look at what the Chinuch writes. Sefer HaChinuch. Let me tell you about this book. Text number 3. This is a book that is phenomenal. The book takes all 613 commandments and explains a rationale or a philosophy behind each and every mitzvah. Now, you need to know this. Many of the mitzvot are not stated in Torah with the rationale. So, there could be different rationales given by different commentaries. This is one take, but it gives you a rationale, a logical construct for each of the mitzvot. The book was written anonymously, but most people understand, you can see the bio on the side over there, that most people understand that it was written by Rabbi Aaron Halevi of Barcelona. But others disagree, as you see. So it's a bit of a mysterious origin. The author didn't sign his name, but we know that this book talks about the mitzvot. Well, mitzvah 378, commandment 378 is about the mitzvah of the Kohen blessing the people. Which again, I need to emphasize, it's not just a good thing to do, right? Yeah, if you have time, bless the people. No, it's an actual biblical mitzvah. So take a look at what it says over here. David, please read, if you can, text number 3. You need to unmute. Tell me if you got it. You got it? Yes. All right. Take it away.
One of the reasons for this mitzvah is, in His great goodness, God desired to bless His people through those who regularly reside in God's. One moment.
No worries.
תסגרי. למה? זהו, תסגרי. Okay, sorry.
No worries.
Now I don't see the screen.
Oh, it went away?
One moment. Where is the screen? I see the pictures.
I don't know, maybe it went away. All right, listen, you work on that if it's okay. I'll finish the reading. Is that okay?
Yeah.
In the meantime? Okay, I'll finish reading it. So, the Chinuch writes, in his great goodness, God desired to bless his people through those who regularly reside in God's house, whose every thought is devoted to his service, whose souls are bound to him in awe all day. In their merit, this blessing will land on them, and all their deeds will be blessed, and God's pleasantness will be upon them. Basically, the Chinuch writes, why is it that it is the priests, the Kohanim, who are blessing the people? And he says, you know why? It's because the Kohanim are dedicated to God. It's because they hang out with God. It's because they are connected in a very special way. So who better to bless than someone who's connected? Who else do you want a blessing from? You want a blessing from someone who's got connections. I tell people all the time, if you need anything, I can always pull some strings. I know it's a terrible joke. I know it. And we still do it. I still do it. Okay, so who better to bless the people than the priests, the Kohanim, who are their God, they're tight with God, so to speak. Fine, good. Okay, so now we know the mitzvah of the priestly blessing. Right, we know that it was given to Aaron. We know that he did it on the day of the inauguration, the final day of the inauguration of the mission of the tabernacle. We know that it was a mitzvah given for all time. We know it's a biblical mitzvah. It's a positive mitzvah. And we also know by now that it is something that is connected specifically with the priests. Very good. Now, you might wonder, let me go back. You might wonder the following question. Let me stop the screen share for a second. You might be wondering the following. Well, if it's a mitzvah, then why aren't we doing it all the time? Why not every day? Now, in some places in Jerusalem, some places in Israel, some synagogues, they are doing it on a consistent basis. And some Sephardic synagogues are doing it on a regular basis. But many synagogues in the world are not doing it each and every day. And many synagogues are only doing it some do it on Shabbat, but most are doing it only on the major holidays. And when I say major holidays, I mean like Passover, Shavuot, Sukkot, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, like the biblical holidays. But that's it. Here's my question. The question is why? If it's a biblical mitzvah, why are we doing it every single day? When you have a congregation together, right? Assuming you got a congregation in the synagogue, and you have Kohanim, you have priests there. It's a mitzvah for them to bless the people. You got people, you got priests. Knock yourselves out. Let's make this happen. You bless them. Let's do this. Why aren't we doing it every day? So here's the easy answer. That's not really going to resolve the question, but it's going to shift the question to another question. But here's the easy answer. Some mitzvot are always binding, but other mitzvot require something else in order to make it binding. Let me give you an example. So the mitzvah of eating matzah on Passover, when Passover comes in, the 15th day of Nisan, you got a mitzvah, right? Nothing else has to happen. The date arrives, you got the mitzvah, eat some matzah, enjoy. But there are other mitzvot that require another step in order for the mitzvah to kick in. For example, see, this is called foreshadowing, the mitzvah of tzitzit. The Torah says when you wear a four-cornered garment, when you wear a garment that has cornered edges, 90-degree edges, 4 of them, then at the corners, put the fringes, right? That's what you want. You want to put the fringes at the corner of your four-cornered garment. That's what the Torah says. Now, do you have to wear a four-cornered garment? What do you think? No. The Torah never says you have to wear a four-cornered garment. The Torah says if you're wearing a four-cornered garment, then you should attach the fringes to it. Now, because we love doing mitzvot, so we make a point to wear the four-cornered garment and to put the tzitzit in there and to say a blessing. But theoretically, there's no mitzvah in Torah to wear the four-cornered garment and then to put the fringes. The mitzvah is if you have the garment, put the fringes. If you're not wearing it, then theoretically you don't need it. So one might say that what is the rationale? Why aren't we doing the priestly blessing all the time? Because there's one more piece that we haven't yet mentioned. One piece that I've been holding back on you for this moment. You like that? Little under the sleeve rabbit action over here. And what am I holding on to? Which piece of intel am I holding on to? I'll tell you now. The piece is the Kohanim only bless the people when they are called up to the task. When you have the cantor saying, Kohanim, in other words, let's make this happen, let's do this thing, then the priests have to do it. But if that call doesn't go out, if the old bat call, not the bat call, the Kohen call, maybe some sort of like projection into the sky or not, right? When that call comes out, you show up. The Kohanim have to bless. But if the call doesn't go out, then there's no mitzvah. Are you with me on this? The mitzvah is to bless the people when they're called up. So the synagogues that are not doing this every day, most synagogues which are not doing this every day, why not? Don't they have to bless the people only when called up? And they're not called up. So there you go. But that doesn't really resolve the answer, the question, right? Because now you're going to ask, well, why don't you just call them up every day? If it's a good thing, so call them up every day. I want to share with you, understand where we are with the logic? Yes? I just want to make sure. Okay, good. We're asking why not every day? It seems to be a mitzvah, or it is a mitzvah, because the mitzvah requires a call up, and you don't, and if you don't do it, you don't do it. But why not do the call up? Like we make a point to wear the tzitzit or the talit, let's make a point to call up the priest every day. 3 answers. I'm going to give you 3 answers, and you can choose your favorite. This is like choose your own adventure. But the truth is, they all work together. But here are 3 answers. I'm going to share my screen one more time. And let's get ready to explore some ideas. Nope, that's not the right thing. That is not the right thing here. Let's get this up instead. And share the screen. Let's hope this works now. Okay. Take a look at text, not 4. We're skipping 4. Let's look at text. Text 5a. This is from the Code of Jewish Law. This is from the Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Karo. Look what he writes here. Let's ask. Let us ask Steve. Steve, go ahead. If you will, please unmute yourself and share with us reason number 1 why the priests are not doing the blessing every single day. All right? Tell me if you got it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hear me?
Yes.
Ego writes that the Mahari Molin was once asked why the priests do not raise their hands in blessing every day to fit it if it is a positive commandment to do so. He answered that inasmuch as the priests are accustomed to first immersing themselves in water to spiritually prepare for delivering the blessing, as it is written in the Haggadah Haminos, and it is difficult to do so every day during the winter. Therefore, the custom has emerged to only perform the blessing on the festivals.
Thank you. So the first answer that we have from the Shulchan Aruch, from the Code of Jewish Law, is he quotes all the sources, but essentially what he says is like this: the priests, they're doing a mitzvah, biblical mitzvah. If you're doing a biblical mitzvah, then you go to the mikveh first. You go to the mikveh. So the priests are going to want to go to the mikveh in the morning before synagogue, before the service. And if you're living in certain countries, you're living in certain places in the world, and it's cold in the winter, you may not want to go to mikveh every single day. And now you're going to have Kohanim who are going to say, we don't really want to go up. So the custom crept in to not mandate it as a thing, to not do it every single day, out of the understanding that the priests are not going to go to mikveh every single day, and therefore let's reserve it for the special holidays where they're for sure going to go anyway to the mikveh before davening, before prayer, and then they can bless. Does this answer make sense? Yes, on a basic level, yeah, it makes sense. They would want to go to mikveh. They're not going to mikveh necessarily every day, so therefore they kind of it evolved as a custom to not necessarily do it every single day. Okay, that's one answer. Fine, nothing wrong with that answer. That's one answer. Second answer also comes from the Code of Jewish Law. Steve, you know what? You're still unmuted. I think please go ahead and read one more short reason why we don't do this every single day.
Another reason is so as to avoid people taking off from work. As long as the priest is not called to bless, he does not transgress. The Maharal was strained to find an explanation to justify the custom that was prevalent in his place.
So the author of the Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Karo, is saying, he's quoting the Maharil, and he's saying the Maharil is stretching a little bit, to give a rationale. But what's the rationale? What's the second rationale? So we understand it clearly. What he's saying is, if you're doing the priestly blessing in the service every single morning, you're going to schlep out davening. The prayer service is going to take another 5, 10, 15 minutes. And, maybe people are rushing to work. They want to show up, they want to pray, but you can't, you're pulling out all the stops, and you're doing all the priestly blessing stuff. So you're alienating, perhaps, your minyan, your congregants. And therefore, the custom evolved to just cut it out of the service, and the service is that much quicker, and people can get to work, and people will still show up, and everyone's more or less happy. Now, what about the priest not doing it? Well, you don't call them up. As I said before, if you don't call them up, they're not violating anything. So don't call them up. They're not doing it. But why are we not calling them up? Either because, reason number one, just so that we're clear, either because we understand that they're not going to go to mikveh every single day, and then they're not going to want to do it, or so that's from their perspective, the priest's perspective, they're not going to want to do it every day, or from the congregant's perspective, they don't want to get blessed every day because it's taken too long. They got to go to work. Very pragmatic reasons. And again, so good. Now, the question is, let's do this. Sandrine is asking, does it mean that the ones who do it every day in Israel go to the mikveh every day? Excellent question. Perhaps. What's written in Shulchan Aruch in the Code of Jewish Law is basically saying that since many Kohanim are not going to want to do it if they don't go to mikveh, and they're not practically going to go to mikveh every single day, therefore, we're only reserving it for special days. Now, the ones that do it every single day, are they going to mikveh? Perhaps. Many men go to mikveh every single morning. It's a pretty popular custom, especially in communities where you have the mikveh, the men's mikveh, right by the synagogue. Right? You go in, you go to the mikveh, and you hit the shul. You go to shul. It's fantastic. It's easy. It's part of the process. So the answer is yes. Do I tell you that every Kohen in Israel who does it every single day in Jerusalem goes to mikveh beforehand? There's no way that I can know that, but this is how it's explained. The second answer is about, Fran is asking the question. Here they just get their hands washed. Yes, they would also get their hands washed then, even after going to mikveh, because in between the mikveh and the blessing, there's still an opportunity to touch other things and to get one's hands dirty in various ways. Therefore, the custom is either way to wash the hands before the priestly blessing, but this is an added measure of sanctity in the morning to go to the mikveh, and out of deference to the Kohanim, or out of kind of acknowledgement that it's not going to happen every single day, so therefore it was pulled from many, many, many synagogues. Second reason, of course, was to make it easier on the congregation. The last answer I want to give, which is the third answer, is from the Alter Rebbe, the founder of Chabad, who was a mystic, a scholar, a tzaddik, a righteous person, and also an author of a code of Jewish law as well. He wrote an updated Shulchan Aruch, updated in the sense that he called together many of the laws that had been debated in between the previous editions of the Shulchan Aruch and his times, and he also added rationales for a lot of the rulings that existed in the original Code of Jewish Law, and it's renowned until this day, known as Shulchan Aruch Harav. If you want to see what that looks like, I'm highlighting the text right here. Shulchan Aruch Harav means the Shulchan Aruch of the Rav, of the Rabbi, referring to the Alter Rebbe, the founder of Chabad. Take a look. Some of you may not know this, that's why I just want to spend a moment. He was not only a spiritual leader and a mystic, he was also a master of Jewish law and Talmud as well. Text number 6. Here the Alter Rebbe explains. Karen, if you're up to it, please read. Here the Alter Rebbe explains why we do not do this in many synagogues every single day. There, Karen, you got it? No. You know what? I can come back to you. Let me come back to you. Let's do, in the meantime, let's do Rosita. I just unmuted you. You're good to go.
Okay. The prevailing custom in all of these lands is to only perform the priestly blessing on the holidays, because then they are revealing in the joy of the holiday, and a good heart blesses. However, on the other days, even on Shabbat, they are distracted by their livelihood and their inability to work, and they are not in a state of joy.
Excellent, thank you. What the Alter Rebbe says in a nutshell is that you have to bless with joy. You have to be besimcha. You have to be happy, right? How are you going to bless somebody with a sour face? You're going to bless somebody when you're filled with anxiety? That's not called a blessing, right? That's a mixed message right there. To bless, to give a bracha, you have to be radiant. So, understanding the nature of human beings. We're not dealing with angels. We're talking about human beings, right? Even someone whose last name is Cohen is not necessarily, someone who's always happy. When is someone more likely to be happy on a holiday, right? A Yom Tif, a Pesach, a Sukkot, a Shavuos, a Rosh Hashanah, Kippur even, spiritually happy. On these days, there's simcha. And when there's simcha, joy, you can bless. What about every day? Running to work. Even the Kohen is running to work. Who's thinking, maybe he's not so happy, maybe he's thinking about all the deadlines and work he has today. What about Shabbat, day of rest, right? Still, people are anxious and distracted by things. On a holiday, it's a bit different. Therefore, we've relegated the mitzvah of the priestly blessing in most synagogues only to holidays when there's a state of joy. Now we have 3 answers. I'm going to summarize. Answer number 1 to the question of why don't we bless every single day? Why not? Number 1, because they may not go to mikveh every single day. Number 2, because the people may need to be running to work. And number 3, because there may not be a state of joy. 3 answers, but either way, the bottom line is the bottom line, and that is that the Kohanim have a mitzvah to bless, but now we know it's a mitzvah to bless when called up to bless, right? To bless the congregation. When they're called up, that's their mitzvah to bless. And why aren't they called up every single day? For these reasons. So these are some blessings, or this is like probably the most focused on blessing in Torah and Jewish law. But now I want to ask you another question. What does this mean for you and I who might not be Kohanim? What does this mean for you and I who are not priests? Right? Is there a context that we are blessing? When do we have the opportunity to bless, to give a bracha? When do we have the opportunity to share? Or maybe we don't have the opportunity because it's only for the Kohen or bust. Maybe so. So let's now, we are going to skip a few texts here. Let's jump to text number 9. Karen, text number 9, it looks like you're ready to go. Please read This is from, once again, the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe's Code of Jewish Law, Shulchan Aruch Harav. Take a look at what it says right here. Oh, hold on. You are... Let's get you... Oh, you can't unmute? Okay, no worries. No worries, I thought you were unmuted. It's... No, I can't hear you now. Okay. It's... No worries. No worries. Okay, let's see. Who else? Let's ask Mike. Mike, are you available to unmute and to read text number 9?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Take it away, please.
Okay. 1 second. A non-priest who lifted his hands, that is, performed the priestly blessing, even if in conjunction with priests, violates a positive commandment. As it says, speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, this is how you shall bless the children of Israel, which implies that others may not.
Thank you. Let me explain what we just read, because this is a bombshell. In Shulchan Aruch, in the Code of Jewish Law, it says that a Kohen, when called up, is meant to bless the congregation with the priestly blessing. We saw the text before. But what if you are a non-Kohen? What if you are not a Kohen and you decide you want to get in on the blessing action? You're a nice guy, right? You want to bless people. You feel generous of spirit. So you're going to get up there, stand shoulder to shoulder with the Kohanim, do the old, the Dr. Spock greeting, the Vulcan salute, whatever. Yeah, you're going to get that going and bless. Comes along the Code of Jewish Law, halacha says, nope, treif, not kosher, you can't do it. Why not? Simple. Because the Torah says, daber el Aharon ve'el banav lemor. Because the Torah says, God said, tell this to Aaron and his sons. Ko tevarchu et bnei Yisrael. This is how you shall bless the Jewish people. This was the blessing. This is a blessing that only the priests are to give to the Jewish people, to the congregation, not for a non-priest. So that's it. If you're a non-priest, then this blessing is not meant for you to give. Now, good. We're getting some good questions over here. So we have now a few questions because the Code of Jewish Law is clear. I'm going to highlight it just so that it remains clear. So a non-priest, right? A non-priest who does this, right, violates a positive commandment. It's not a good thing. It's a violation. So now we're going to wonder, hold on 1 second. Whoa, 1 second. We find this all the time. People are blessing with the priestly blessing. You may know this, that many parents have a custom of blessing their children before Shabbat. And when you bless your children before Shabbat, many have the custom to say the priestly blessing along with their own blessings. You can certainly give any blessing that you want, that's on your heart and on your mind, and that fills your soul. So any blessing is always good. But many parents have the custom to use also the text of the priestly blessing, even if, this is important, even if they're not priests, they're not Kohanim. So how do we do that? It's a violation of a positive commandment. Now we have a non-priest using this language. That doesn't sound kosher. So what's going on? That's question number 1. And David asked in the chat, what about the in the Amidah when we have the priestly blessing? That's an easier answer because there the chazan, the cantor, is not really standing as a kohen to bless the people. He's just reading the text from the Torah. He's kind of like quoting a biblical text. But it's kind of like but let's get back to the family blessing. When a parent is blessing their child with the priestly blessing, it seems like kind of co-opting the priestly situation, which seems to be not so kosher. Take a look at text number 10. This is from the Mata Ephraim, which is a halachic work, a work of Jewish law. Take a look. This is, text number 10. Let's see. Let us ask Adina Malka. Take it away. All right? If you can unmute yourself and jump right in. Text number 10. Go ahead.
It has been customary for the father and mother to bless their children before going to the synagogue. In this blessing, They also wish that they be sealed for a good life, that their hearts retain a proper fear of God, that their hearts should be implanted with a wholehearted love and fear of God. Everyone does so in accordance with the nature of his own heart and fluency of his tongue, pouring out weeping, tearful supplications, that God make his words come true, that his prayers be accepted, pleading with God to hearken to the blessing. As a result of this, one's sons and daughters are inspired to walk a good path, the path of the righteous, and to strengthen their hearts to the Torah.
Thank you. It's such a beautiful text, and I will tell you the context is Erev Yom Kippur, the eve of Yom Kippur, and that's why, if you notice, the text says that the blessing is to be sealed for a good life, which is the blessing of Yom Kippur, and it also talks about kind of weeping and supplications and that sort of thing, which is more evocative, or it's more about, that's more of a Yom Kippur thing. But like I said before, many families do this Friday night, right before or right after Shabbat, to bless the children. And again, many use the priestly blessing liturgy, and the question is that not a violation of what we just said, that it's only meant for the priest to do this? So what in the world is going on? By the way, I'm going to skip this text, but the Rebbe writes here that again, on the eve of Shabbat or Yom Kippur, there's a blessing, as we just discussed. So here is one answer. This answer is given by Rabbi Yisrael Meir HaKohen Kagan, who's known as the Chafetz Chaim, very famous scholar, very famous author. The Chafetz Chaim wrote famously a book about Lashon Hara, about Shmiras HaLashon, being careful about speaking ill of others, but he wrote other books. And this is a work that he wrote regarding our very question: how do parents use the priestly blessing to bless their kids if they are not priests? How can we co-opt the priestly blessing and adopt it as our own, us non-priests? So take it away. Let's call upon, let's see, Sandrine. Did you read? No. Are you up to reading?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
One, I have to send my phone. One is perplexed by the widespread custom for people, whether or not they are priests, to bless their friend when seeing them off by using the language of the priestly blessing. It was with regard to this that the Torah said, priests should bless and not others. How is it permissible for a non-priest to bless his fellow using this blessing? Perhaps one might suggest the rationale for the custom is in accord with the Bach, who maintains that the non-priest only violates this prohibition if he delivers a blessing while holding up and spreading out his hand. Alternatively, since the rabbis have instituted that the priestly blessings are not to be delivered without the accompaniment of prayers, regarding someone who cites the verse of the blessing outside of the prayer service, whether or not he is a priest, it is considered as if his explicit intention is not to fulfill the mitzvah of the priestly blessing. Thus, it is permitted.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So that text had two answers to our question. Again, just to be very clear, we have a question on the table, and that is, if indeed this blessing is exclusive for the priest to use, then why do we find that in practice everyone's using it, even non-priests? And the simple answer, there's two simple answers. Number one, when parents are blessing their kids, or when people are just giving other people this blessing, they're not doing the whole hand thing, and then it's not the same context. If you want to do the hand thing, you got to be the Kohen. When we said before that if you go up with the Kohanim, you're non-priest, and you go up with them to do the blessing, it's a violation. It means that you're going up and doing the same thing. But if you're not doing that thing, then you're okay. The second answer that he gives is that it's only in the context of the prayer service. In the context of the prayer service, when the chazan, when the cantor calls you up, Kohanim, priests, let's go, let's rock and roll. When that happens, if you're a non-priest and you answer the call, then that's not cool. The chazan, the cantor, called upon priests to do the priestly blessing. You're a non-priest, you're waltzing up, you're not supposed to, that's a violation. But in a normative conversation context, or parents to children, friends to friends,
No one called up the Kohanim, so you can do it also. It's not a violation. That's how Halacha looks at it. This is from, just so you know, a text called the Mishnah Brura, which is a, I think it's the Mishnah. It should be the Mishnah Brura. Yeah, Mishnah Brura. That in his Bir Halacha talks about, explains this and explains how halachically it's permissible for non-Kohanim to do the blessing. Not in the context of synagogue, not in the context of raising the hand, not in the context of a formal prayer service, but in an informal setting, it's kosher. And now that answers a lot of the questions, right? Parents and friends and other contexts, it's not in a service and no one's raising their hands, and therefore it's not the same thing. Okay, at this point, let me check the chat. It looks like something came in at a wedding. Excellent. The wedding, you call up a Kohen. You do call up, typically you call up a Kohen to do the priestly blessing at the wedding, so you find the priest. If there's no priest, I don't think I've ever seen a non-priest do it at a wedding. I've always seen them pre-plan to have a Kohen there, or to say, hey, a Kohen in the house, right? And then do that blessing. All right, so now that kind of ties up or ties together the various things. So let me just summarize what we said up until now. We're about to get to the big idea. So we've talked about the priestly blessing, we've talked about the mitzvah and what it looks like, we talked about why we don't do it every single day, we talked about why some non-Kohanim are doing it, and we gave answers and explanations for all of these various issues. Now, outside of the priestly blessing, what is the role of what I would call normative blessings or other blessings? Let me explain. We explained the Kohanim doing the priestly blessing, we explained non-Kohanim doing the priestly blessing, but now, forget the priestly blessing for a second. What about blessing from heart to heart, from one person to the other, right? You're not following the script. You're not saying the priestly blessing. You're just saying, I want to wish you success. I want to wish you good health. I want to bless you with this. I want to bless you with that. And you mean it and you're sincere. Does that have any power? We know about the power of the priestly blessing. The Torah tells us the script. But is there power to the blessing that you and I concoct on our own? That's the question. And the answer is yes. Yes. How do we know this? Well, because the Torah itself also tells us this. Take a look. I'm going to read some text now. Text 13a. God said to Abraham, and I will make you into a great nation. This is when God's sending him off to Lech Lecha. Go. God says, don't worry, my friend. Don't worry, Abraham. Go, I got your back. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. I will aggrandize your name, and you shall be a blessing. And I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse, and all the families of the earth shall be blessed in you. I want to focus on this one line of this text, or this one phrase, and you shall be a blessing. The commentaries say, what does it mean, you shall be a blessing? God gave Abraham the power to bless. Take a look at the Midrash 13b. Rabbi Berechia said, and I will bless you has already been written. What is the additional you shall be a blessing teaching? God is saying to him. Here's the answer. What does it mean? Until now, God says, I have had to bless my world. But from now on, the blessings have been transmitted to you. Bless those who are worthy of blessing. And with this, God gave the torch of blessings over to Abraham and Abraham's children and those who follow in the Abrahamic ways and those who believe in goodness and justice and kindness and everyone who has a good heart. God says, you know what? You bless each other. You bless each other. With what script? With what text? Not the priestly blessing. That we discussed before. That's a special formula. But what about other blessings? This is your source, Genesis. This is your source for the blessings that you and I give each other. And the truth is, it's powerful. And it's powerful beyond measure, because you know what the word bracha means? The word bracha means to elicit forth, to draw forth, to pull, to bring down into this world some sort of spiritual blessing. Take a look. Take a look at text 15. It's from a Mishnah. It talks about layering or grafting vines. If one has bent a vine into the ground, if it is not covered with 3 handbreadths of soil, he may not sow a seed on top of it. You don't need to know the halachic context, the legal context. I just need you to look at the first Hebrew word. And if you can see that, and if you know how to read that, you know that it says, hamavrich es hagefen. Hamavrich. That means bending a vine back into the ground. Vineyards grow up, but farmers bend it back down, the vine into the ground, and then back up again, and that helps it grow, and it helps more offshoots grow, and it becomes stronger that way. That is called hamavrich et hagefen, one who bends down the vine into the ground. Hamavrich is related to the word baruch, yeah, bless. So what is a blessing? It's bending down, it's bringing down. What does it mean to bring down? So here's the simple explanation. Everything that exists below has a source above. That's what I like to call the basic rule of Kabbalistic gravity. The basic rule of Kabbalistic gravity, of spiritual gravity, is if it's down here, it fell, so to speak, from up there. Everything on this earth has a spiritual origin. Everything has a spiritual source. An apple, which is sweet, comes from chesed, which is divine kindness. Everything has a source. Everything has what we call a shoresh. Everything has a root in the spiritual realms. And that's where all the blessings come from. But sometimes they get stuck. Sometimes, for some reason, the blessings don't flow. And sometimes a person looks at their life and says, wait, I need a blessing, maybe a blessing for health, maybe a blessing for money, maybe a blessing for peace, maybe a blessing for who knows what. A person says, I need a blessing. I know they're up there, but I need to bring down the blessing down here. This is where you and I come in. When one person, not even a Kohen, blesses another, not with the priestly blessing, but when one human being blesses another and says, may God help you, may God give you, may God bless you with this, that, or the other, those words themselves bring down, hamavrich, bends down the vine, brings down the blessings into a tangible place in this world. That is the power that you and I have. But you might still ask, where do we get the power from? And I already told you that God gave it to Abraham, but the question is, but what's the logic? Just because a human being says it, so that's what it should be. So to answer this, I want to share with you a story. The story brings out better than anything that I know. There's no better way that I can explain blessings than with the story I'm about to tell you. The story goes back 200 plus years. To the court of the Maggid of Mizrich. I need to explain who he was. The founder of the Chabad movement was Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem Tov, the great Baal Shem Tov, the miracle worker, Hasidic master, Kabbalist, mystic, who was a hidden tzaddik for the first 36 years of his life, who was told to reveal himself and to teach from that point on. The founder of the Hasidic movement, who wasn't just a tremendous scholar, but who loved everybody. Loved even the quote-unquote simplest person. He had a student known as the Maggid of Mizrich. Maggid means like a preacher, a storyteller. The Maggid of Mizrich. He was the next Hasidic leader after the Baal Shem Tov. The Maggid in turn had many students. The Baal Shem Tov also had many students, but the big one was the Maggid. And the Maggid had many students who started their own Hasidic movements. So many of the Hasidic movements that are in the world today are stemming from various students of the Maggid of Mizrich, including Chabad, by the way. Because one of the students of the Maggid of Mizrich was, you guessed it, the Alter Rebbe, the founder of Chabad. The aforementioned Rabbi Shneir Zalman of Liadi, the founder of Chabad, was one of the students of the Maggid of Mizrich. And this story, he's involved in this story. So the story goes that one time the students of the Maggid of Mizrich were having a fabrengen. You know what a fabrengen is? A fabrengen is a gathering, a Hasidic gathering. People gather together, they share, they sing, they laugh, they cry. Spiritual. It's a spiritual gathering, right? It's not for anything else other than achdus, than unity and the idea of improving each other and encouraging other in the ways of improvement, but really amidst a shared environment. And it was a fabrengen in which the Maggid himself was not present. Their teacher, these were students of the Maggid. The teacher, the Maggid himself, was not present. And the fabrengen went on for hours and hours and hours, and it was the early morning, after midnight, when one of the assembled stands up and he says, Chevra, my friends! Tears start streaming down his face. He says, I have a loved one who's ill. and who needs a blessing for a refuah shalema, for healing. And he's heartbroken, and hot tears are pouring down his face. He says, we need a miracle. We need a salvation. We need a blessing for health. Please, please give me a blessing. Turning to his friends around the table. And his friends say, whoa, wait a second. The Maggid, our teacher, he's the tzaddik. He's the righteous individual. Who are we? We're just the students, right? We can't give blessings. You go to a tzaddik to give a blessing. We're not a tzaddik, right? So you need a blessing for healing, for health, for your loved one. Fine. After the Farbrengen tomorrow, go to the Maggid of Mizrich and ask him for a blessing. He'll give you a blessing. What do you want us to do? We're not tzaddikim. He said, no, give me a blessing. They said, no, we can't. They tried to sing a Hasidic tune. They tried to sing a song to make him feel better. Nope, didn't work. He was still crying. And then the Alter Rebbe stood up. The founder of Chabad stood up. And he said, and you should know, he was the youngest of all the students of the Maggid. Of all the students, he was the youngest. He got up and he said, don't you remember what our teacher taught us, the Maggid of Mizrich? You're saying go to the Maggid. Don't you all remember what he taught us? What a Farbrengen can accomplish, not even the angel Michal can accomplish. That's what he said. He said, what a Farbrengen can accomplish, the blessings that it can bring down from above, not even the angel of kindness, the angel Michal or Michael. I'm sure the angel Michal doesn't have an English name, but whatever. Not even the angel Michal can accomplish. That's the power of a Farbrengen. And he said, how does this work? We're each going to give a bracha. And he inspired everybody with his teaching, that he reminded everyone from the Maggid, from their teacher, that they all stood up and they all gave their blessings to this fellow for his relative, for a healing, and indeed, so it was. The story is recorded, and also the postscript is recorded. The Alter Rebbe later on explained, why is it that there is the power of the Farbrengen, or the power of communal blessings? These are not, to me they're tzaddikim, obviously, but they were the students of the Maggid. But wherein lies the power of communal blessings? The Alter Rebbe himself explained. He gave the example of a parent. He says, imagine a parent with a few kids. And imagine the kids are getting along. And imagine the kids are helping each other. And imagine the kids are loving each other. And imagine the kids care about each other. They're filled with love and filled with care and filled with openness and connectedness and collectiveness. And then one of them asks the parent for something. You're the parent. And one of the kids says, can I have this or that? What are you going to say? Your kids are getting along. They're playing nicely. They love each other. They're helping each other. One of them asks for something. What are you going to say? Yes. And what happens if, God forbid, your kids are fighting? And what happens if your kids are not getting along? And what happens if instead of sharing with each other, each one is grabbing something away from the other? God forbid. And then one of them asks for something. What are you going to say? No. The Alter Rebbe says, when God sees that we love each other, that the other person's problem is our problem, that the other person's need becomes our need, that we stand up and we give the other person a blessing. You're not a Kohen, it doesn't matter. You're not using the priestly blessing, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you care about the other person. When God sees that you care, when God sees that his children care about each other, guess what? God gives the blessing. That's how blessings work. Blessings come from God. Never mistake that. Blessings come from God. God gave Abraham the power to bless. God gave the Kohanim the power to bless. God gave us a special liturgy, a special formula of blessing. And then God said also, when you care enough about someone else, when you care about not only a literal brother or sister, but the other brother or sister, when you care not to harm the other. And if you don't think this is connected to what we're living through, then maybe I should spell it out more, but I'm not going to. When you and I care about each other, as opposed to seeking each other's harm, when we care about each other in a genuine way, not just because we feel we have to, but because we truly love each other, and your need is my need, and my need is your need, then God wishes to do nothing other than give us every single blessing we need. Ask any parent, your kids are getting along, you're generous, everything is available. Whatever you want, you're getting along, take with joy, with love, with gladness. Everyone's fighting, nothing happening. Yeah, that's the nature. I'm telling you an analogy that the Alter Rebbe himself said. The power of a Farbrengen can accomplish what not even the angel Michael can accomplish. Why? Because this act of love from one to the other rocks the heavens, storms the gates, breaks down all barriers, and brings down all the blessings. God loves it when we love each other. And when we don't, I'm not going to finish the sentence. The blessings come when we love each other. The blessings come when we care about each other. The blessings come when the other person's challenge affects us. When we don't just shrug our shoulders and say, what can I do? When we care enough to extend the blessing to the other from a place of love, then God does his part and he gives the blessing. May we all develop the sensitivity. May we all develop a genuine sensitivity to each other. May we all genuinely care about each other. Not because we have to. Not because of any other reason other than because we actually care. May we all be blessed with this sensitivity. See, I'm blessing you now from a place of love. May we be blessed with sensitivity. And that sensitivity should make us feel the other. And when we feel the other, we should want the best for each other. And we should want the greatest blessings. And we should want that any negativity be wiped away from each other. And when that's the case, God is sure to deliver on his end with everything our hearts desires. Let us say Amen. Thank you very much for joining me tonight for Torah Studies.
Amen. Thank you.